Hello, everyone, and welcome to the lunch table. I'm your host, Ben Houselog, a.k.a. Ben Likes Sports, a.k.a. We need more fights on Rivalry weekend, and we just witnessed an absolute cinematic 4-day slate of football, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and now on Sunday. It is currently 10:04 p.m. Central Time. I am off the railroad tracks recording this, and boy, oh boy, did we have a slate of football. We had upsets. We had 8 overtimes. And we had rivalry fights from the East to the West Coast. All of that coming up right now here on the lunch table. Shannon Sharp, take it away.
Yams, collard greens, mac and cheese.
We start off on Thanksgiving, on Turkey Day. And who always plays on Thanksgiving? The Lions. And who do the Lions play today? Not today, Thursday, the Bears. The Lions beat the Bears 23-20. But if we're being real, the Bears should have won this game. I'm just going to be honest. The reason they didn't win this game is because Matt Eberflus has awful clock management. And that is why we have to give a round of applause for every Bears fan out there. Matt Eberflus has been fired, ladies and gentlemen. It has never been done in the Bears' history. They had never fired a coach in the middle of the season, but it's about time they did. Right? And here's what I'm going to tell you. I said this a couple weeks ago, a couple episodes ago. Now you get a free trial of Tom Brown. If Tom Brown wins, if he wins out, if he beats the Packers, if he does anything right, you have to give him a second look at being a head coach. Right? A lot of people, after Eberflus let the clock ran out, they wanted to put it on Caleb Williams. They said, well, your quarterback should know to take a timeout. No. Why are we relying on our rookie to know the clock situation, to know when to take a timeout, and then know the play, and then do all this? You're the head coach. It is your job. There is a reason that a head coach and a quarterback are the only two people who can call a timeout. Defensive coordinators can't call a timeout unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs, but, we'll get more on the Chiefs in a moment here. But now the Bears finally have a little bit more hope. This looks like it might be a new era of Bears football because they did something they've never done before. They fired their offensive coordinator and their head coach in the middle of a season. They just showed Caleb Williams, hey, you are our guy. We are building around you. They didn't do it for Trubisky. They didn't do it for Fields. But they did it for Caleb Williams. And everyone's going to say, what about Caleb Williams' first half? If games were 1.5, why are there 4 quarters? Right? Caleb Williams in the fourth quarter looked fantastic. DJ Moore in the fourth quarter looked fantastic. Keenan Allen looked fantastic all game, except the time that he got his helmet ripped off his head and everyone was calling him Baldy on Twitter. I didn't call him Baldy because that's mean. Also because there's a reason I wear a hat in every single episode. Because I am balding. But here's the thing, man. Bears fans rejoice. You finally have an ownership that's going to listen. It has been, how many years has it been that they're asking the McCaskies, please do this. And the McCaskies are like, no. They're finally listening. They understand what it takes to win in this century. At least I hope for your sake. Not for my sake, because it is kind of funny watching the Bears implode. But for your sake, that's what I hope. Lions beat the Bears 23-20. Also with the Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs took a picture, posted it on social media, of all of the play calls right behind the coach. I'm not sure if it was a coach or not. But audibles, protections were all put onto social media. And everyone's going to say, well, what does that matter? You say the play in the huddle. You don't check protections. You don't teach the line or audible the line how to slide. You don't do that in the huddle. You do that at the line of scrimmage. And the Lions, Jared Goff almost leads the league in adjustments at the line of scrimmage. They have a complex offense, so they need to do complex stuff. And it just got put out there on social media. Please don't bench Jahmyr Gibbs. I like watching him play, and he's on my fantasy team, and I made the playoffs. I forgot to mention that. We went from 1-4 to the playoffs. Any NFL GMs that need a spot filled, hit me up. I know ball. I use the waiver wire. I do trades. That's what it's all about, right? I let him hang out there. But that's enough from that game. Moving on. The Cowboys beat the Giants 27-20, and this is basically what we all thought this game was going to be. The Cowboys kind of putting the belt down. a little bit. The Giants, mock draft season. Dexter Lawrence hurt his elbow, probably going to be out for the season. You should put him out for the season. Had a DPOY race. Look, man, I love Dexter Lawrence. They're selling you. They're selling you. The Cowboys now have a little bit of momentum, and mathematically, they are not eliminated from the playoffs. Let me read you the Cowboys' upcoming schedule for the rest of the season. You have the Bengals at home. That's a winnable game. You go on the road to Carolina. That's a winnable game. You host the Bucs. That's a winnable game. You go on the road at Philadelphia. You never know with Sirianni. That might be a winnable game. And then you face the Commanders at home. That is a very winnable game. They're unlikely to run the table, right? CeeDee Lamb is out. Maybe. He didn't look good. He had a lot of drops. His shoulder's banged up. But Cooper Rush is a very good bridge quarterback. Honestly, he could be starting somewhere else. Also, Bills and Niners just finished. It is 35-10. But the Cowboys, man, if I'm a Cowboys fan, I kind of hope they lose out just to get a better draft pick. But they're not going to. And if you think about it, the Commanders, they're 8-5, right? It's not like they're out here putting the belt on everybody, except today. But we'll get back into that. The Giants, like I said, mock draft season. If I was in the Giants front office, I would be looking at Cam Ward. Why do I like Cam Ward? Cam Ward went to Incarnate Word, right? FCS, still a very complex offense. They run a ton of good stuff. There's a reason that a lot of people transfer up from Incarnate Word. Where did he go? He then went to Washington State in the Pac-12. He played well there, but he also raised the competition level. After the Pac-12, he then went to the ACC. Raise of competition level, that's very much up for debate. But he played better in the ACC. He was a Heisman candidate. If his defense was still good, they could be undefeated, and he probably would be leading the Heisman race because it's a quarterback award. Get it? See what I did there? Cam Award? Yeah. That's who I would take. And then moving on to the night game of Thanksgiving, you had the Packers hosting the Dolphins. Packers 30, Dolphins 17. The Packers kind of ran them out of time. The Dolphins just shot themselves in the foot too many times. Started off, first drive, you hold the Packers. They have to punt. Then you muff the punt. Packers get it back, score a touchdown. A lot of people are going to keep going with the narrative that Tua doesn't play well in the cold. But Tua played very well. Devon Achane played very well. Jonnu Smith, probably one of the top tight ends in the league right now. 10 catches, I think 116 yards. He's tough. He's a good player. Now, the Dolphins, yes, it sucks to lose that. And it also does suck because the Chargers won today, and it doesn't look like you're going to make the playoffs. But you're not mathematically eliminated yet. The Chargers have a hard schedule up in front of them. Dolphins do too. But if I were going into the playoffs, I'm not sure that I would want to play Miami if they snuck in. In fact, I know a lot of teams that wouldn't want to play Miami if they snuck in. But the thing is, they needed this game. As for the Packers, I don't want to get my hopes up because they always crush my hopes in the Super Bowl. Not the Super Bowl. They actually win the Super Bowl, but they don't get to the Super Bowl. See, I'm already thinking Super Bowl, and I need to stop myself right here. Their defense looks good. Their run game looks phenomenal. Jordan Love is starting to not throw interceptions. It's reminding me of 2010. But the thing is, man, the contender, the favorite, the MVP, it switches every week. And that's what we love in the NFL. We have competition. There's not one team in the NFL people look at and they're like, yeah, they're winning the Super Bowl. There's not one player that people look at and go, yeah, they're winning the MVP. This is one of the most even NFL seasons that I can remember in quite some time. Now, I do recall last year, Christmas time, the Chiefs lost to the Raiders. Everyone thought it's over. Everyone thought the Ravens would make a run. I understand that. But with this one, you have a very high separation between the good and bad teams. Right? The playoff picture might not even come down to the last week. Honestly, in the NFC, it looks like the playoff picture is pretty much set. Now, sure, a lot of different things can happen. But if I were In the playoffs, I'd feel comfortable. If I was not in the playoffs, I would not feel comfortable. Well, yeah, that's a given. Anyways, moving on to Black Friday, you had the Chiefs hosting the Raiders, and once again, the Chiefs get bailed out. I assume all of you guys are thinking I'm going to complain about the refs. No. First of all, for the Raiders, Aiden O'Connell played very, very well. And in my opinion, Brock Bowers should be the Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's a matter of consistency. He's number 1 in NFL tight end yards. I think he's top 5 in receiving yards overall. He's a dog. If he wasn't on the Raiders would probably be the worst team in the league. Now, a lot of people probably still think they're the worst team in the league, including their coach, which was very weird, but I think he should get the Offensive Rookie of the Year. But here's how the Chiefs' magic is still alive and well. Going into the game on Friday, Daniel Carlson last missed a field goal on September 22nd. He is one of the most accurate kickers in the league this year, which there's been a lot of fluidity with kickers this year. It started out, everyone's like, oh man, kickers don't miss. As of late, it's like, oh my gosh, kickers miss all the time. I'm not sure if that's a global warming thing. If like people are spraying chemicals in the air to make the ball move. If Roger Goodell has magnet balls. I'm not sure what it is. But then he played against the Chiefs, right? He missed 3 field goals. That doesn't happen against any other team. Sure, it was a cold game. But if you're telling me Aiden O'Connell outduels Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs didn't see that and turn on some sort of high magnetic field in Arrowhead to where the kick doesn't get to the uprights, I'd believe it. I believe that we have to check Arrowhead, especially underneath, and see who is sacrificing small animals when the Chiefs are about to lose. Because it's getting ridiculous, man. You have the Isaiah Likely, foot too big. He's on the line. That's one win. The questionable PI call, but it was a PI call. I'm still going to add it, though. That's another win. The non-PI call on Kyle Pitts, another win. The blocked field goal against the Broncos, that's another win. Shootout with the Panthers, another win. And then this. I can't figure out if the Chiefs are actually going to do what they do every year, go into the playoffs and beat everybody. I can't figure it out. But you know what that means? That means they probably are. It means that Patrick Mahomes is going to make sure that whoever is underneath Arrowhead Stadium is well stocked on squirrels and rabbits to sacrifice to make sure that the Chiefs win. Maybe that's why Patrick Mahomes has so many commercials. It's not for his own money. It's to get the groundskeeper enough money to get all of the animals to sacrifice. Then, after that game, we moved to the college football realm, where you had Georgia hosting Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech gets up 17-0 early. Haynes King, heck of a game. He looked like Tim Tebow out there. Entire team on his back. Georgia ended up coming back with a little bit of help from the refs, but, you know, the refs don't automatically lose a 13-point lead with 4 minutes left. They don't do that. I've never looked at a ref handbook and it's been like, let's make sure that we give them 13 points on this touchdown. Doesn't happen. They then go to 8 overtimes, which I do complain about overtime rules a lot on this show. I'll be real, I do. But we need to go back to the old college football overtimes because these 2-point conversions aren't it. They aren't. First 2 overtimes were cinema. Both Georgia and Georgia Tech did their thing. Then it got to the 2-point conversions. Kirby Smart calls a timeout every single one. It actually got to the point where I saw a guy delivering a pizza down my street. And I yelled at him from my deck. I said, hey, do you want to come in and watch the end of this Georgia Tech game? He said, no. So I went on the DoorDash and I ordered a single grilled cheese burrito from Taco Bell to try to lure him back in. Okay, this sounds bad, but I really just wanted someone to watch this football game with. And I did watch it with a lot of you guys on Twitter. And if you did interact, I appreciate that. But Georgia ended up winning, which means we all lose. But then we moved into Saturday. All the rivalry games, man. You have Michigan upsetting Ohio State, and then having a brawl on the field in which pepper spray was used. Is that an ode to Jabril Peppers? Is that a Jabril Peppers reference? All I'm saying is you have all these media talking heads. They're on TikTok. They're on Facebook. They're on IG Live. Just like, I can't believe the state of college football is this bad. I can't believe that we have players fighting. This is a disgrace to the game. This is awful. Fans, I am so ashamed. And all the fans are like, this is sweet, man. Look, these same talking heads were on ESPN talking about there's no competition in college football anymore. NIL era. These guys don't actually have ties to the school. All I saw were people that were repping the school. Florida and Florida State, fight on the field. Michigan and Ohio State, fight on the field. NC State and North Carolina, fight on the field. People were fighting on the field left and right. You can't tell me that this didn't mean something to these players. You can't tell me that they're not at least a little bit bought into the culture. Now, did some players probably just want to fight someone? Yes. I know, because I've been there. I never fought someone, though, because I'd lose. Right? I understand the battles that I can pick and choose. I'll talk to someone over the internet. Push comes to shove, I run. You know why? I have a back issue. It wouldn't be a pretty sight. Probably poop my pants or something like that. Something, I'd be on Twitter the next day getting clowned. # poopy pants. It just wouldn't be a good look. Wouldn't be a good look for me. Wouldn't be a good look for the brand. By the way, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, you probably see I have a Lunch Table Sports hat on. I am ordering samples of merch. Now, I understand. My parents are probably going to be the only ones to buy it. Hey, makes for a nice stocking stuffer. I'm not putting on the TikTok shop, though, so don't ask me that, okay? I'm actually kind of scared. I've never ordered something off of the TikTok shop. I feel like if I did, I'd get it and there'd be like a spyware thing in my house that just takes all my passwords, all my credit card stuff. It's like Transformers when Sam was in college and he was like with that girl. You know, he goes back to the girl's room and it turns out that the girl was actually like one of Megatron's henchmen and she like had that electric tongue or something like that. That's what I feel would happen if I ordered off the TikTok shop. That I would somehow get my hands on the Allspark. You know? I don't understand what would happen if my Volkswagen Jetta just transformed to a Transformer in front of me. First of all, I would hope it didn't bust my garage because I'm not paying for that. I have insurance, but that premium would be crazy, man. It would be nuts. But moving on, you had Iowa and Nebraska. Iowa had 5 first downs the entire game and still won the game. That is peak Iowa football. I saw everybody complaining. Oh my gosh, I can't believe Iowa couldn't just get a couple first downs and win. This isn't a real win. Well, what did the scoreboard say? Scoreboard said we won. Case closed. It's 20 degrees outside. It feels like 10 degrees. I have friends at the game that they're just texting me back gibberish because their thumbs don't work. Their hands are frozen. But the Hawkeyes still won, man. That's all I got to say about that. And then moving on to an absolutely electric NFL Sunday. This NFL Sunday, in my opinion, has showed us the most about the future of this league and the team's validity in it. Are they contenders? Are they pretenders? Are they playoff teams? Do they have a future after this year? Are the guys in the positions the right guys to have? This NFL Sunday taught me so much. And we start with the Texans going into Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars, where they won 23-20. And in my opinion, I say this respectfully, the Texans are very much not a contender. Their O-line is atrocious. CJ Stroud can't stay protected, and he doesn't look that good. I'm just going to be honest. He doesn't look that good. Sure, he won the game, but it was against the Jaguars. Another thing, that T-Law hit was crazy. I saw people on Twitter say, well, T-Law, he should have slid a bit sooner. Brother, he slid with 6 yards of separation, and Al-Shaair came down and put his forearm into his helmet, knocked him out cold, fencing posture and everything. What do you want him to do? Attention everybody, I'm sliding. No. I do like how everyone had the back after that. Another brawl. It happens, man. It's football. Right? Al-Shaair, probably going to be suspended for the year. In my opinion, he should be suspended for the year. If he isn't suspended for the year, at least 3 games. That hit was ridiculous. One thing that I also think about the Jacksonville Jaguars is I think Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be a star. He's fast. He has great hands. His route tree is a little bit limited, but dude, you can fix that. He's the future. The Jags are not that far away. Just give it some time. Trayvon Walker, he's a stud. I remember when he got drafted first, everyone's like, well, Aiden Hutchinson should have went first. Aiden Hutchinson was going to go first, but he didn't want to play in Jacksonville. So they drafted Walker. He has 8.5 sacks this year. That's huge. I'm taking a sip of my water. That's huge. The Jaguars are not that far away. They need a new head coach, and they need to get into a new season. They have a lot of injuries. But the Texans, man, I would sound red alert because the AFC South is up for grabs. With the way the Colts are playing, I would not be surprised to see the Colts take the Texans to the wire and actually win it all in the AFC South. Not the Super Bowl. You guys probably thought I meant Super Bowl. I did not mean Super Bowl. Moving on, speaking of AFC South, you had the Colts going into Foxborough to play the Patriots where they won 25-24. Anthony Richardson is a dude. He now has 2 game-winning drives. Drake May looks a lot like rookie Josh Allen. This is a good thing for both teams. Number one, the Colts won, stayed alive in the AFC South, and the Patriots lost, got a better draft pick. Anthony Richardson now has 2 game-winning drives in his last 3 games against the Jets and against the Patriots. Converted 3 fourth downs, took it all the way down, last play, 4th and goal, touchdown. Then the next play, ran it in for the 2-point conversion. This is why you go for 2. Everybody across the NFL, this is exactly why if you score a touchdown that could put it in overtime, you go for 2. You win it there. You say, you know what? Hey, offense, I just watched you drive down the field. I trust you. Go and win it. And that's what they did. Another thing Anthony Richardson has to do, he needs to buy Alec Pierce a Fitbit to track how many times he makes him run a 50-yard route just to overthrow him. Now, sometimes he does make the throw, and I'm an Anthony Richardson fan. I think we all have realized that by now. But the amount of times that he throws a deep ball to Alec Pierce that just goes way over everybody's heads is crazy. You need to buy him something. A Fitbit, a Whoop band, an Apple Watch. Cyber Monday is coming up, Anthony. By the time you're listening to this, even though you're probably not, it's Cyber Monday. Fitbits are probably on good price. Granted, they kind of don't give deals like they used to anymore, but hey, just looking out for you. The Colts are creeping in the AFC South race. If I were in the playoffs right now, say this is the first round of a playoff game, I would rather have to go into Houston than have to go into Lucas Oil Stadium. Meaning I would be more scared of the Colts than I am of the Texans. Because the Texans, they just look bad, dude. They're decimated with injuries. They can't protect the quarterback. They can't keep a lead. Mixon's banged up all the time. It doesn't look good. The Colts, on the other hand, they're going up. I would be more scared of the Colts because if the Colts win the AFC South, that means that they won with momentum. They're coming into the playoffs hot, which is always scary. You never want to play a team that's coming into the playoffs hot. Packers last year. Packers in 2010. Buccaneers last year. You don't want to play a team that's coming into the playoffs hot. Moving on. You had the Chargers going into Mercedes-Benz Stadium and playing the Falcons, winning 17-13. And I'm going to make a hot take that needs to be said. You need to look at Penix. Kirk Cousins threw 4 interceptions today in a game that you easily should have won. The Chargers did not play well at all. Younghoe Koo, he's not hitting field goals. That is troublesome. Especially, you have the Buccaneers breathing down your neck. They're creeping in the NFC South race. I understand. But we paid him all this money, and we don't want to say it's a sunk cost. The Broncos last year, what did they do? Okay, Russ, we're going to pay your contract. Bo Nix, hop in. They're going to the playoffs this year. What did the Browns? Sure, Deshaun Watson got hurt. Then they put Jameis in. They started to win. It's not a coincidence. If your quarterback isn't performing, don't tie yourself to his contract because that's how you lose. If you're the Falcons, you have Judon, 1-year deal. Bates, 1-year deal. Pitts, London, Robinson, all their deals are going to be coming up soon. You need to go now while you have the system in place. You need to look at Penix. I'm not saying start him. If I was in the Atlanta Falcons front office, I'm starting Michael Penix Jr. He has better mobility. He has a better arm. And you can't play much worse than Kirk Cousins played today. Yeah, he had some good performances early in the season, right? 500 yards against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The comeback drive against the Eagles. That's in the start of the season. It looks like his Achilles is atrophying and he can't really move around out there. I think it's time. Let the Falcons have some big Penix energy. Throw him out there and let him sling it. He's NFL ready. You saw what he did last year at Washington. You saw what he did in the preseason. I still think that if every single NFL quarterback that's a rookie played tomorrow with the same team, I think Penix would do the best. Still. I'm talking over Williams, over Daniels, over May, over Nix. I'm a huge believer in Michael Penix, and I think you're only one game up with a rough schedule ahead of you. You need to play Michael Penix. And I understand that sounds like a hot take I'm trying to get views. No, I'm genuinely serious. If Kirk Cousins doesn't look better in the first quarter next week, it's Michael Penix time. I'd start him right off the bat, but I understand, right? 4 years, $84 million, it's tough. That's why the draft pick made no sense to me. You're going to pay a guy 4 years, $84 million, and then draft the quarterback in the first. Look, man, sometimes you just need to play the guy. We have him for 4 more years. Dude, who cares? If he plays like he did today, you're not seeing the playoffs. With everybody you signed to a 1-year deal, that's a failure of a season. Speaking of teams that are fighting for the playoffs, you have the Seahawks going into MetLife Stadium and facing the Jets in a game they won 26-21. Leonard Williams is a special athlete. A 98-yard pick six in which he was moving. Dude, the Seahawks, I said a couple episodes ago, I can't get a read on the Seahawks. But they just find ways to win, man. They're the favorite in the NFC West. Right now, they are the leader of the NFC West. For the Jets, all I have to say to you is fire up the mock drafts, man. It's mock draft season. You went all in. It didn't pan out. Look, man, respect. You tried your best. Now it's time to clean house, retool, and get another rebuild. Look, it's very debilitating because you're going to have to be in a rebuild with Drake May looking like a franchise quarterback, the Dolphins looking better and better, and Josh Allen, for lack of a better term, dragging his nuts all over everybody in the AFC East. I don't know one person that wouldn't agree with that take. It's time for mock draft season. For the Seahawks, they cannot do anything in the red zone. They had it first and goal, nothing. Second and goal, nothing. Third and goal, -2 yards. Fourth and goal. Fourth and goal. Yeah. 4th and goal, same thing. 20-yard sack. You have Kenneth Walker back there. In my opinion, one of the best short yardage running backs in the league, and the O-line can't block for him. DK might be banged up. JSN is who we all thought he was. Ryan Grubb is cooking in the open field. You just need to get better at that short yardage scenarios. Because if you don't, and it would be Seattle who doesn't get better at short yardage scenarios, you ain't going to do much when it comes to the playoffs. Because you're going to be playing good defensive lines every single week in the playoffs. And that's just how it goes. Moving on, you had the Titans going in to Washington to play the Commanders. And this was a much-needed get-right game for the Commanders. Their run game looks a lot better. Hopefully they can take this momentum and build it out because they have a rough schedule ahead. They're not exactly in the clear, right? You look at it, Vikings are 10-2, Packers are 9-3, and the Commanders are 8-5. It's not exactly looking like they're going to get much better playoff seeding than the 7th seed. Granted, the Packers can drop a few. The Vikings can drop a few. Stuff happens in the NFL, right? But the last thing that you want to do is limp into the playoffs as the 7th seed. Because if that happens, they are probably going on the road into Philadelphia, who looks like the 2 seed right now. The winner of the NFC North is probably going to be the 1 seed. The winner of the NFC East is probably going to be the 2 seed. Why do I think this? Because the Falcons are 6-6, top of the NFC South, and the Seahawks are 6-5, top of the NFC West. You don't want to limp in. If you limp in, like the Eagles did last year, you're going to get put down quick. And for the Titans, I'll tell you the same thing I told the Jets. It's mock draft season, right? Hey, Brian Callahan has kept you in a ton of close games. Sure, today wasn't that good. Oh well. It's mock draft season. Go out. See who you want on your team. Fill out all those mock drafts. Watch the college football playoffs. Hey, kick it back and see, hey, maybe the Titans have something fun to watch. Will Levis is a fun watch. He is. Doesn't always do the greatest stuff. But even his bad stuff is like, I've never seen that before. That's fun football. It's fun to watch. Moving on. Speaking of fun football, you had Mr. Unlimited Russell Wilson going in to Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati and going crazy against the Bengals. George Pickens, I'm not sure what the record is, but with an extra game, he might set the league record of most unsportsmanlike conducts of all time. Genuinely. Because he had 2 today, punted the ball into the stands, and then did a finger gun first down celebration, which I think is weak. Let's be real. We're getting rid of bow and arrows. We're getting rid of the rifle celebrations. You know what? Okay. If you're looking at a player and you make a gun gesture at a player, I can see that. He was shooting a gun in the air. Right? How come teams light off cannons when they score? George Pickens can't shoot a bullet when he gets a first down celebration? The bullet's not hitting anybody. It's going straight up in the air. What are we doing here? We got to stop being so soft in the NFL, right? Bengals, I will tell you what I told the Titans and what I told the Jets. It is mock draft season. And hopefully, this mock draft is without Zach Taylor as a head coach. Because, and I don't want to sound negative, because I am being a negative Nancy. You have failed Joe Burrow. You have failed Jamar Chase. If I'm Jamar Chase, dude, I might not come back to Cincinnati. I want to go somewhere where I'll get the ball, obviously. He will get the ball anywhere he goes because he's Jamar Chase. But I also want to go somewhere where I know I'm going to make the playoffs. Will he do a Kevin Durant thing? Go to the Lions? No. If I'm Jamar Chase, I'm out. Peace. If I'm telling them, if I'm Jamar Chase, I want to be the GM. Me and Joe Burrow are going to get together and tell you everything we want to happen with this team. And if I was a good GM, I would listen. Joe Burrow would probably be the MVP if his team was winning. But they're not. You failed them. It happens, man. It happens. Moving on, you had the Cardinals going into Minnesota to play the Vikings. Vikings win 23-22. And I understand a lot of people think I'm crazy for this. I can't figure out if the Vikings are legit contenders. Because they get into a back and forth against the Jags. They get into a back and forth against the Cardinals. I can't figure it out. Kyler Murray, he needs to stop making back-breaking mistakes. When he did that turnaround just threw the ball up in the air, it reminded me of The Dark Knight Rises, where Batman and Bane were fighting, and Bane just started beating up Batman, took him above his head, and then broke his back over his knee. That is the vitality of that mistake. Last week, it was the pick six against the Seahawks. This week, it was the pick against the Vikings. Now, I'll say something good about the Vikings. Cam Akers is going to be a big-time player for them down the stretch. Early in the game, Aaron Jones was having fumble problems. Didn't look like the Vikings were going to win. Cam Akers came in and kind of steadied everything out. Said, hey, it's okay. You don't need to rely on Aaron Jones. Then Aaron Jones came back in and had the game-winning touchdown catch. Sam Darnold, he led them back. If you guys remember early episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all I would talk about is I'm not sold on the Vikings until I see them play from behind. And Sam Darnold, when he started playing from behind, he wasn't playing like he used to play. He wasn't like, I got to get it all back right now. He wasn't making a throw where you're like, oh, that's picked, game over. No, he was listening to the coaches, going through his progressions, and taking what the defense gave him. Hats off to Kevin O'Connell. That is huge. That's great coaching. That's great coaching. That's the same thing that Daniel Jones is going to get. Right? If Sam Darnold goes down, you have Daniel Jones, which people are going to laugh at me for this. He's a capable quarterback. He has a playoff win. He has more playoff wins than any quarterback in Minnesota. That's just the truth. He has more playoff wins than the majority of people on Minnesota's roster. That's just the truth. He is a luxury to have. Especially in Kevin O'Connell's offense, because he has the legs to run, make something happen. Are the Vikings legit contenders? I can't figure it out, but I'm not saying no. That means that they have the qualities to be a contender, but I just need to see more. Moving on, you had the Rams. Going in, actually, we have breaking news. Hold on. Christian McCaffrey has suffered a season-ending knee injury per Kyle Shanahan, PCL, which if you guys know the anatomy of a knee, PCL it's a tough one. It's connected to hamstring, all that. It's not something you can really play on, right? A bum MCL you could tape up. PCL, it's not good. So we're hoping he's all right. But moving on, you had the Rams going into the Saints. 21-14, Rams win. The Saints are still playing hard, right? Shout out to Rizzy. He's got them playing hard. The Rams are in a fight for the division, and Puka is the number one. The only thing is, can the Rams stay healthy? Can Puka, Kupp, Kyron Williams, and now Blake Corum, who did really well today, getting a lot of carries, can they all stay healthy? And this is the perfect scenario that I always talk about. The Rams just needed to win. Didn't need to be convincing. Didn't need to be a blowout. They didn't need to do anything crazy. They needed to beat the teams that they need to beat in order to stay alive in the NFC West race. They got ahead of, I believe they're ahead of the Cardinals, and everybody's ahead of the 49ers. They won. The Saints, hey, it's going to be a rough few years for the Saints. The amount of cap that you're going to get hit with, it's not going to be good. You took the shot, you missed. And then your general manager just kept adding on. It happens. It's not good, right? It's not good. Staying in the NFC South, we had the Buccaneers going on the road to play against the Panthers and winning in overtime 26-23. Bryce Young, this was not your fault. I will say it again for emphasis. Bryce Young, this was not your fault. Bryce Young is legit. Everyone can now see he is a clutch quarterback. I've been vouching for him from the start. Now, I'm not doing this to beat on my chest. I'm doing this because everyone gave up on him. Pinheiro was the most accurate kicker in NFL history. Then he misses 2 field goals. Hubbard fumbles in overtime. It happens. And they got robbed from that Thielen touchdown. That was a touchdown. I don't know how they said it wasn't, but it was. For the Buccaneers, Baker, I thought it was over. Right? He got sacked. He's rolling around, grabbing his ankle. Everyone thought, well, Baker's out for the season. The Bucs season is over. Panthers are going to win. Baker came back in, threw a pick. First play back in. Everyone said, okay, now the game is over. But then he came back. He willed him to overtime. Then he willed him to a win. The Bucs could easily win the NFC South with how the Falcons are playing. Their defense is getting better. Their run game is phenomenal. Bucky Irving, heck of a player. But for the Panthers, yes, okay, mock draft season. But Xavier Legette, playing well. Bryce Young, you benched him, he came back, and he's dealing. He's not throwing turnovers. He should have honestly had 300 yards and 3 total touchdowns today. But they robbed him. What are you going to do? The NFC South is going to be a fun one to play, fun one to watch play out. Moving on to what a lot of people thought was the game of the week. You have the Eagles going into Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Eagles won 24-19. And It wasn't a 24-9 game. Ravens had a garbage time touchdown, but Justin Tucker is starting to worry me. He's probably starting to worry everybody. Look, man, one of the greatest kickers in NFL history. That's a fact, right? He's the one who really started hitting 60-yarders consistently. Now he's starting to lose his flow. And it's bad because it's costing the Ravens games. The Eagles' defense is legit. They're young and legit, which is scary. Cooper DeJean is putting on for us. He's putting on for us, man. Double leg, pile drive, Derrick Henry. No Devontae Smith, no problem. Ravens secondary didn't look as bad today. They really didn't. Saquon is Saquon. That's all I got to say. For the Ravens, I think they're contenders. I still do. I think they're a team that can come in and win a lot of games, but you're not going to win games if your kicker can't hit field goals. Number one, a lot of people like to just point out the points. Oh, well, he missed a field goal. That's 3 points that you could have had. Yeah, but it's also field position, man. You miss a 50-yard field goal, the Eagles get one first down, then they're in field goal range. That's how it goes. That's what's scary. In the playoffs, it's all about defense and field position. If you can't hit field goals in the playoffs, you won't win in the playoffs. For the Eagles, Jake Elliott kind of went through the same kind of thing. Jake Elliott doesn't look great either. But the Eagles' red zone offense is where everything takes the cake. You have Saquon, you have Jalen Hurts, you have A.J. Brown. You have three players at three positions. I'll even throw Dallas Goedert in there that are pretty much unstoppable in the red zone. You miss a field goal, guess what? They are now 40 yards closer to the red zone. That's a scary thing to deal with. So the Eagles won 24-19, but the Ravens, you have to fix it. Tucker has to get it going, or you're not winning in the playoffs. Moving on to Sunday Night Football that we just watched wrap up. 49ers went into Buffalo, a snowy Buffalo, to play the Bills and lost 35-10. This was belt. The Bills are probably, in my opinion, the top of the AFC right now. Josh Allen, his big knock was always he makes too many mistakes. Josh Allen isn't making many mistakes this year. And he might get home turf in the playoffs. And sure, home turf means a lot for the atmosphere, right? The fans, everything like that. You know what it means more for? The weather. And the Bills, they were going 8.5 yards a carry tonight. Granted, the Niners defense is really banged up. But if you have Josh Allen, Ray Davis, Johnson, James Cook, good luck. In the snow, good luck, man. Good luck. That's scary. For the 49ers, they're so banged up, and now CMC's probably out for the season with a knee injury. That's probably that. That might be all she wrote. I don't want to sound negative, but I have to be real. 49ers coming in, everyone thought, okay, they just lost in the Super Bowl, but they have everyone back. They're going to start going crazy. And they didn't. You took the shot, you missed. For everyone saying, fire Kyle Shanahan, please fire Kyle Shanahan so I can have him in Green Bay as the offense coordinator. I would love to have that. But the Bills, they're rolling. Rolling crazy. Josh Allen, he might end up taking the MVP because it's a quarterback award. It's going to be between him and Saquon. That's all it is. Moving on to the Monday Night Football preview. You have the Browns going into Denver and playing the Broncos. The Broncos, they just need the win. Right? Dolphins, lost. Bengals, lost. Everyone that's sniffing at your butt, trying to get you out of the playoffs, lost. Now you need a win. Get one more game between. But if there is a quarterback who's going to come into Denver against that staunch defense, that insanely hard defense, it's Jameis Winston. He'll go out there. He's not scared. He's going to throw the Brock around. He's going to have some fun. Can the Broncos move the ball against this stellar Browns defense? That's another question that needs to be answered. There's a lot of questions going into this Monday Night Football game. A lot of people said, oh, it's going to be a snooze fest. Football is never a snooze fest, man. You just got to watch the storylines. And it is never a snooze fest watching Jameis Winston play. For the Broncos, Bo Nix, he's probably going to win Rookie of the Year because his team's in the playoffs. It should be Brock Bowers, but if Bo Nix can have a great game against this Browns defense, I don't know, man. I'm still not sold on the Broncos for some reason. It's like their offense is just, I don't know. Their kicker's been having a great season. Now because I said Will Lutz is having a great season, tomorrow he's going to miss like 3 kicks and I'm going to feel like an idiot. But we have a lot of stuff to go on. And I understand a lot of people wanted more college football talk. We are going to move that to the Wednesday show because it will be right after everything is dropped. We will do that. We will do our college predictions for the bowl games then. Okay, because this is a 45-minute show. I'm going to keep making the show longer and longer because a lot of people have said that they like it. They wish it was longer. We're going to do that. I'm going to get more in depth. Shoot, I'll probably go off on a lot more tangents. But that's all it is. I hope you guys all had a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you guys had a great Black Friday. Cyber Monday is coming up. Get some nice Cyber Monday deals. I know I did. I bought myself a dehumidifier because if you can see, my nose is pretty big and it picks up a lot of stuff and that stuff makes it bleed when it's too dry. Actually, when it's too humid. That's the purpose of a dehumidifier. Honestly, I saw someone use it on TikTok and I thought it looked cool, so I bought one. Hey, that's marketing. They got me. Have a great day or night whenever you are listening to this. Let's have a great month of December. And most importantly, God bless. Jesus loves you. Peace.